The Unseen Gardener. In a small, unassuming village nestled beside a sprawling, often unforgiving desert, lived a young woman named Alara. Unlike the other villagers who toiled in the meager fields or traded goods in the bustling marketplace, Alara possessed a quiet passion. She loved to garden. However, the land around her small home was barren, sandy, and seemed utterly resistant to life. Day after day, Alara would venture out with her simple tools, a worn-out spade, a watering can patched in several places, and a small bag of seeds she had carefully saved and sometimes traded for. The villagers would often watch her with a mixture of pity and amusement. "Alara, why do you waste your time?" they would ask. "This land offers nothing. Focus on something practical." But Alara would simply smile, her eyes fixed on the dry earth. "Even the most stubborn ground can bloom," she would reply softly, her voice filled with a quiet conviction that they couldn't quite understand. She would spend hours under the scorching sun, turning the hard soil, removing stubborn rocks, and carefully watering the patches she had prepared. The desert winds would often whip around her, threatening to undo her painstaking work. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and still, the land remained stubbornly brown and lifeless. Discouragement would sometimes creep into Alara's heart. She would see the lush green gardens in her dreams, filled with vibrant flowers and bearing succulent fruits, a stark contrast to the reality that surrounded her. Doubt would whisper in her ear, echoing the villagers' words. "Give up, Alara. It's impossible." Yet something deep within her refused to surrender. It was a belief, a quiet knowing that effort, even when unseen and seemingly fruitless, held a power of its own. She remembered her grandmother's words, "The most beautiful gardens are not made in a day, child. They are nurtured with patience and unwavering care, often in secret." So Alara continued her work. She learned about the subtle nuances of the desert soil, discovering small pockets where the earth was slightly more yielding. She collected rainwater during the rare storms, storing it carefully to nourish her tiny plots. She even started composting the meager scraps from her kitchen, enriching the soil bit by bit. Years passed. Alara grew older, her hands becoming calloused and her brow often furrowed with the effort. The villagers had long since stopped their teasing, perhaps out of respect for her unwavering dedication, or perhaps simply out of boredom. They still saw no visible results, no vibrant blooms or bountiful harvests. One spring, after an unusually generous rainy season, something miraculous began to happen. Tiny green shoots started to emerge from the patches of earth Alara had diligently tended. At first, they were fragile and easily missed, but Alara noticed them immediately. Her heart leaped with a joy she hadn't felt in years. She nurtured these tender sprouts with even greater care, shielding them from the harsh sun and the strong winds. Slowly, painstakingly, they grew stronger. Leaves unfurled, reaching towards the life-giving sunlight. Then one morning, a splash of color appeared. A single vibrant desert flower, unlike anything the villagers had ever seen, bloomed in Alara's small garden. Word spread quickly through the village. People came to witness the impossible. They stared in amazement at the delicate beauty of the flower, a testament to Alara's years of unseen labor. As the days passed, more flowers bloomed, painting the once barren landscape with hues of red, yellow, and purple. Soon, small shrubs and hardy plants began to thrive in the enriched soil. The villagers were astonished. They finally understood. Alara's garden wasn't just about the flowers, it was about the unwavering dedication, the quiet perseverance, the refusal to give up even when there was no visible reward. It was about the unseen work that lay beneath the surface, the countless hours of effort that had finally borne fruit. Alara, standing amidst her blossoming garden, smiled gently. She hadn't sought their approval or their praise. Her motivation had come from within, from a deep-seated belief in the power of persistent effort. The story of Alara, the unseen gardener, became a legend in the village. It was a reminder that true growth often happens in secret, that the most beautiful results are often born from years of unseen dedication. It taught them that even in the most challenging circumstances, with unwavering effort and a belief in the possibility of growth, Even the most barren land can bloom. And so, the next time you feel discouraged when your efforts seem invisible and the results are slow to appear, remember Ilara. Remember the unseen gardener who toiled patiently, believing in the potential that lay beneath the surface. Remember that your dedication, no matter how quiet or unseen, is sowing the seeds for a future bloom. Your efforts matter, even when you can't see the immediate results. Keep tending your garden, and in time, you too will witness the beauty of your unseen work come to life.